We are live.
Hello. So we are live and welcome to this last session of today of the RPA Conference Europe. And I'm really excited to be the host of this panel discussion. And before we start, actually, I would like to give thanks. So big thanks to all the participants that you're still here, that you're still with us after 2 intensive days and 2 interesting days. At least it were 2 interesting days for me. And I hope you learned something. And the message from the organizers is that all video recordings will be available within 1 week time, and you will get all the information later on about the video recording, so you will be able to watch all the sessions which you didn't have a chance to see. And of course, big thanks to all the speakers, and I'm really glad to have also nice audience here and nice group of people with me. And the last but not least, big thanks to the organizers. And if I was the Eurovision host, I would say you did a wonderful show tonight, or actually yesterday and today, and 12 points go to Lithuania, actually, to the RPA Conference Europe, and thanks for that. Now I would like just to start the panel discussion, and the topic today is very interesting: optimize or automate. What comes first? And we will discuss this topic from practice and theory point of view. And I would like just to start with myself. I'm Justas Brazauskas. I come from Vilnius, from Lithuania. I'm a process automation developer at a global company, Metso Autotech. At least I have more corporate experience being involved in big and small RPA projects and in waterfall and agile approach. And at least my approach to this is that, of course, if we have like just one-time waterfall project, so then it's clear. First, we try to analyze, optimize, and then automate. But nowadays, everything is more in agile, and we have a continuous cycle of this agile development, and then optimization and automation. Actually, it goes in cycles. You optimize, automate, optimize, and actually automation is a positive feedback loop to the optimization. So that was from my side, and actually I would like to give the floor to the only lady in this panel, Ivona. So please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Ivona Totkote-Ustecka, and I am a tech lead and AI engineer in Tuplux, which is a software house based in Poland. And I help develop products for mostly startups based in the US. So it's a bit different kind of working culture than the corporate one. Also bigger startups, the higher ones in the investment funding scenarios. And I mostly work with computer vision problems in AI. So I develop machine learning models for recognition, detection, as well as other different topics such as generated data, synthetic data, and in a lot of different industries such as autonomous driving, smart appliances, home appliances, e-commerce, and many others. So that would be a very short intro from my side. Really happy to be here and also to give you some different perspective on the subject.
Thank you, Ivona. And now I would like to give the floor to Eduard. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. My name is Eduard Slepecki. I am founder of Active.eu. We are based in Slovakia and delivering RPA services mainly here in Europe, but also have larger projects in Asia. I am, for the second year in a row, UiPath Most Valuable Professional, doing this like automation and being in this business since 2014. I run my podcast. It is called automatonimpact.io, where I interview other MVPs, and just enjoying this field and doing it not only for money, but also out of passion. And I am glad to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Eduard. And last but not least, Darko, please.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Darko. I come from Zagreb, Croatia, and I work in a company called Robotic AI. Actually, we are quite new RPA vendor, and we are trying to create a new platform in RPA, and it's all based on the experience that me and my team had over the last 5-6 years working with many platforms such as UiPath and Softomotive and others. So I've been also very active in the field, delivering projects in banking, insurance, and other industries as well. So I'm also very big fan of RPA, but also with some experience in machine learning as well.
Great. So we have RPA experts, we have artificial intelligence experts, we have machine learning experts, so we have everyone on board. And let's start our discussion. I really would like to invite everyone who is participating, ask your questions, ask them in Q&A, or ask them in this public chat. So any option goes, and we will try to make it interactive and answer all these questions. And just to start, I would like to share a personal story. A very simple one. At home, we have never-ending discussions whether we should buy a robot for cleaning, to clean the floor. You know, and the arguments is like it's automation. You know, it's like reducing the manual work. It's fantastic. The other how to say contra arguments we have, like, oh, our apartment is not suited for that. The robot is too expensive. Maybe we should rearrange the flat. Maybe we should buy a house before we buy a robot. And we never got the decision. And the robot is still not here with us. So I'm still cleaning the floor myself. Or actually, I have just a simple vacuum cleaner. So that's the current situation. But the point I want to say that sometimes it's. Yeah, we have a comment that's not good for stairs. So actually, I'm living in an apartment. It doesn't have like stairs. So maybe the robot could work. So maybe our apartment is optimized for that. But still, it's kind of similar discussion. I think it's in a corporate world or in organizations, whether the process is fit for automation, and sometimes I get into this kind of never-ending discussions, which we call paralysis by analysis, or analysis paralysis. And then the best way to get out of it is just to use the same as Nike is saying: just do it, just automate, and then see what happens. And usually nothing bad happens, and usually something good happens. And then and this is the approach. Sometimes it's working, but it takes some courage to just do it and then and see. But I would like to give now the opinion, or to give a chance for others. And Ivana, I was very interested in your presentation. You were speaking about artificial intelligence and machine learning projects. And in your experience, how do you see this dilemma, optimization and automation?
Yeah, actually, it's very interesting, the story that you mentioned, because I've seen that problem in several of our clients, and especially the bigger companies. They usually have this issue. They come to us and they say, hey, we want to do artificial intelligence because it's trendy, and help us do that because we have no idea how to do that. And what happens, they are really afraid of the problem that you just mentioned, that they are not sure they are ready for this transformation, let's call it machine learning transformation. And what I've noticed in my experience, coming again to your point, the most important thing is just to start the first iteration and to see what works. Starting with simpler approaches and trying, I would say, to optimize things. So first of all, analysis. What we do is usually perform a lot of different data analysis in order to be able to say whether the optimization would work. So this step is definitely necessary. But afterwards, the simplest baseline approach that doesn't involve redesigning the whole infrastructure, but just taking a small piece that could be perhaps applied with machine learning methods to automate or to facilitate some of the tasks, or maybe to add additional value. So in my case, it's not always finding things to automate, but sometimes finding new venues for added value. So there might be some insights that were not seen before, and with the machine learning tools, we can provide some insights that were not there. And afterwards, after seeing the results, we might come again to the table and talk, what do we do next? What do these results say to us? And what would be the next best thing to do with machine learning tools? So yeah, I would say it's still a lot of cycle-like approaches, but just starting with baseline models and not trying to build the most complicated architecture from scratch at the beginning, but just to start with out-of-the-box approaches and see where we can go from there.
Thank you, Ivona. And now I'd like to give the floor to Edward. I also was listening to your presentation, why not perfect processes. So world is far from perfect. Even in your presentation, you had this question asked, optimize or automate. So maybe you can share the answer. What was the answer?
Yeah, I would steal this. I would probably steal this answer from Darko. Yeah, I would say in this case that it depends, but I would elaborate a little bit on the cases where it makes sense to automate first. And I don't promote this approach saying that this is always the right way to follow. If you are rich enough, and by rich I don't mean necessarily just money-wise, but if you already are rich enough with the progress you made in a company, etc., that you have a strong and well-working continuous improvement team in a team, or however else it is called, but the team focused on optimization, I would not say that, okay, Edward was presenting that we can automate first, so you all are fired. Yeah, so this is a great thing to have these people on board, and to have, even for us as a developers, it is much more pleasure to work with already optimized processes and not to deal with all the mess which comes out of as-is process. But on the other hand, again, in this CI, continuous improvement, the key word there is continuous. And Lean Six Sigma is there for ages already. It is a mindset, and there is no perfect process. As I was mentioning before, since 2014, I'm in this business. I never seen a perfect process, but I was seeing many messy processes, which after automation were releasing people from the really manual repetitive stuff. I was seeing that after automating, there was an additional return of investment generated, that additional budget formed, as well as automation of messy processes sometimes can contribute by additional data, by capturing data by robots, etc., into better optimization. So I would say that I enjoy more working on optimized processes, and I think that it is the right way to follow. But if your optimization would bring only a minor enhancement to the saving, or if it brings minor adjustments, etc., I'd say that there is nothing wrong to automate first and then leave the iteration. Yeah, not following just waterfall approaches you used as mentioned. But if we say continuous, we can't say about the waterfall. Yeah, so it will be iterations of updates, iterations of improvements, as well as automation. So long story short, it is nice if you have optimized processes, but it is not always must have, and sometimes you just need to start, as Ivona mentioned.
Thank you, Edward. And Darko, you know about the best practices. Your presentation was about the best practices. So tell us what it is in theory and how it is in reality.
Yeah. So my take on this question is, I think it needs to be governed by business case. So it depends on how much you need to invest in the optimization part in order to to efficiently automate it. And if the volume and the frequency of the process does not justify that, I think you should just try to automate it. So that's the reality. And then we are always guided by finances. So in your case, if the robot costs too much, maybe it doesn't make sense to buy it and just to play with it. So that needs to be the case. And I think it also depends on the nature of the process and what technologies are used. So if we are talking about some process that requires AI or OCR, we also have to accept the fact that, it's not bulletproof, and we have to experiment on that. So one thing I would say there is, increase success by lowering expectations. So starting small and seeing what works and what doesn't, instead of selling big promises that, everything will be taken care of. So start small, and then if it works, gradually go to larger optimizations. So that's my take on this question.
Thank you, Darko. So I would like to continue with another story, and this time is from my business life. So my company, Metso Autotech, is a merger of two companies, Metso and Autotech, and which happened last year, actually during the pandemic. So it was a virtual merger. Everything everything was done online. And so it's there are two Finnish companies based in Finland, so there are no big culture gaps, but still they had two separate technology stacks. So all the applications are separate, and we had very many, how to say, business and technology challenges. So for example, Metso was using UiPath as its platform. Autotech was using Blue Prism, and we had to make quick decisions, like to ensure business continuity from day one. And what we did, we just did a quick fix, like we decided, okay, the to-be platform will be UiPath. We migrated all Blue Prism robots to UiPath without any optimization, anything. It just copy paste as it is, just to have a quick fix and then keep them running. And what's remaining is that actually it's still two companies with two backbone ERP systems, and before we can automate, we can have to. We're talking not about optimization, but harmonization of the processes. So both companies, they have quite optimized processes, but they need to be harmonized first. And this harmonization, it takes time. And we have like a 3-year project, how integrate SAP systems like with S4HANA and so on. So, but nobody will wait 3 years to start RPA. So what we are doing now, we're doing these MVPs, different kind of MVPs, and MVP in this case is not the most valuable player, but it's the minimum viable product. So it's just a small proof of concepts, and this is very helping us. And we are also using a scaled agile framework. So we are moving in sprints and program increments, and we're delivering those RPAs on current systems, on, let's call them, legacy systems. And of course, we are thinking that they should be future-proof, that when we upgrade SAP to S4HANA, that all these robots, they still remain relevant. So my conclusion is that if you want to have a quick fix, like a short-term solution, then you just automate. And of course, if you are thinking long-term, and then it takes harmonization and optimization, and then it takes time, and then actually time is money, and then but this is more and more long-term and sustainable and future-proof approach. Any insights on this, like short-term fix, long-term strategy? Maybe Edward, you want to say something on that?
Yeah, we'll be happy to. Talking of short-term versus long-term, definitely, again, if we automate the process first, we by default keep in mind the fact that after we realize the new optimization opportunities, we would need to change the code. Yes, so I think that it would be wrong to suggest, if you go for a long-term run and you say that, okay, we should automate only once and optimize only once, definitely optimize first. But if you if you understand these iterations, and if you understand that you can gain some return of investment with automating the process first, and then also getting extra data for it and for optimization, etc. I think that on a little bit longer term run, you can be equally successful with both. What I mean by this is that if you automate first and then optimize and enhance this optimizations again back into automation, you would end up with exactly the same product. But you just keep in mind that you are automating twice and you say, okay, but then we are spending money twice. That's true. But in the same time, after the first automation, you already generate the budget. So that means that it depends how much budget you will generate and if it will be the return investment for you or burn of money. So I think that in both short and long term, it has some cons and pros. An interesting thing is also here change management. I don't want to go deep into this topic because I think that it is worth a separate 45-minute session. But the thing is that also it highly depends how easy it is to adjust, change, and implement the changes in your company, how easy it is to deal with people, etc. Because once you have a lower involvement, once the process is already automated, yes, you will need to change your code. But I bet that it is much easier to change the code than change the people mindset. So even from long-term perspective, it depends what are what is the culture of the company, what is the mindset, and what is the readiness to accept the risks and leave those iterations. So yeah, for me there is no one answer. But again, in perfect world, if I close my eyes on a previous experience and just follow the theory, I think that it sounds very reasonable to optimize first. On the practice, in most of the cases, or I'm curious also about the audience experience, but I often see messy processes which brings a lot of help after automation to the company. The automated messy processes is easier later for company to handle. Then I see use cases where after huge optimizations that the process before would bring saving of 1 FTE, let's say, and after optimization it is 20. Maybe it is 1.5 or something, but it is usually not like 10 times more. So that's my observation.
Okay, thank you. I see a comment in the chat from Vladimir that long-term strategy does not exclude short-term fix and vice versa. Short-term fix does not contradict with long-term strategy. So I just really like this comment, and I really encourage, if you have any questions, just put this in this public chat, and then we will take it from there. And I would like just to ask Darko, you are in this consulting business. You're meeting clients every day, and we have always a problem, or we have a saying, we need a robot now, we need it fast, we need it cheap, and we want to have a return investment very quickly with the lowest costs. How do you sell the argument like we need to optimize, we need to analyze, we need to investigate, and then how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think I agree with the statement that short fix does not exclude the long-term strategy. And I think when you're automating the process and robotizing it, you're already introducing some kind of change to the organization. So it's definitely going to change for end users. And there's an opportunity to maybe optimize some smaller chunks and to increase the quality of the process. Let me give you a concrete example. So we were working in a bank, and the process as is was that the requests were received by email, and the email had a template word filled out by the employees, which is, of course, is not an optimal situation because you cannot validate the input before, and there are no process metrics and so on. So we said, okay, we are going to do the automation, but since we are already introducing the change, maybe it's worth, that we build a form on the intranet portal, and this will allow us to have one central point where the data is entered, and we can build metrics around that and so on. So it was worth it, to in both in the implementation to do a small optimization and also to automate the process. And in the long term, there's also idea that we expose this process as a self-service to the end customers of the bank. So that's the long-term goal, but we decided also to introduce smaller optimizations along the way.
Okay, thank you, Darko. So I would like to ask Ivona. You are in a bit different field, AI, machine learning, and as I understand, the automation, or actually running the model and getting the feedback, the data out of it, is it's a kind of crucial to optimize it, to improve it. So it's you cannot avoid automation and then optimization. So it's like a never-ending cycle. So how do you see it?
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to say that in our case, also it's important to know how long is the strategy that you're thinking. Because if you're going too long and your horizon is too far away, many bad things can happen. Not only your data might get outdated, even if the data is still relevant, maybe there will be a shift in the population. There might be changes in the thing you're trying to solve. So what might happen is your model might work very well this year and the next year, but then in 5 years, the same model that worked pretty well and gave you 99% accuracy now is not relevant because the population changed, their behavior has changed, or maybe there's just some new things that you didn't take into account for. So in our case, the cycles are the most necessary thing of this process, as you have to reevaluate, and you have to reevaluate your strategy at regular intervals, because if you don't do that, then you're getting into the trap that your environment is getting too different from the real life. It's also very often a case with machine learning problems that you have this data, you have this training data, and then you have this test data. And when you run tests on your test data, it seems perfect. Your model predicted, I don't know, the loan amounts for 99% of the people. But then when you implement the solution in real life, it might turn out that it's working a lot worse than your test data. Test data wasn't seen by the model, so it was not overfit on that. But it's just the thing that it was not representative of the actual business problem that you're trying to solve. And this is a very difficult problem that we see. How do you collect a test data so that is the most representative of your business use case? Sometimes it's even difficult to create metrics that would be the best metrics to evaluate for you, as sometimes you're interested about conversion or even satisfaction of the users. And these are the values that are very difficult to measure. So these are very important topics that just need to be reevaluated again and again and again.
Thank you, Ivona. So at least I have a feeling, like in our discussion, that we all somehow agree that this automation and optimization, it's like never-ending cycle. And since the world and IT development is moving more towards this agile or iterative approaches, so this is works. The agile approach is working with these continuous improvement cycles of optimization and automation. And at least in my experience, what we have with business is that when we are saying, okay, we will do a prototype, MVP or proof of concept, whatever it calls, we will do a small thing first. And they are afraid that, if we are not putting all the business requirements in this prototype, they will be forgotten. So this MVP or this minimum viable product becomes so big that it's almost impossible to deliver it quickly and on time. And this somehow has the challenge for the quick business value realization, because we want to deliver a business value quickly that people could utilize this and benefit from this business value, and then based on that continue on the project. And how do you solve this problem of defining the scope of MVP, of POC, of this first kind of prototype robot? Maybe Edward, you want to start?
I have to elaborate on this. It again depends on the technologies, because we like about MVP. So MVP is when we for the very first time introduce a technology, or in a company, or introduce it, or proof of concept, yeah, or introduce the technology for specific team. For RPA itself, I think that we are getting more and more to the stage where it doesn't need an introduction anymore, and it is. I think that unlike and here I believe that opinions differ, but for me here, unlike AI as a category of different and group of different technologies, RPA is quite straightforward nowadays in like justifying the use case, in explaining the transparent return of investment, etc. Where for AI, and if we take like machine learning or chatbots, etc., it requires more analysis, I think, at the very beginning. It is not only about the clear FTE saving, but there are more aspects, and the return of investment is not one-to-one into this time saving, but sometimes analytics can save you like zero time, but bring very insightful data for your sales or for your customer retention or some other things. So here I would really split it, I don't remember, like, of course, when engaging with new customers, we always have the POCs and MVPs, etc. But later then, after the process is running, I think that the RPA doesn't need the introduction anymore. And yeah, so talking of scope, I definitely agree. I think Ivana was mentioning it as well. It shouldn't be the biggest project, aiming for the biggest savings, etc. at the very beginning, facing all the challenges in once as an MVP. So MVP is something to prove the concept, yeah. So to prove that it works, and then with removing the doubts about that if technology is there or not, we start to put this technology into a company. But I would definitely split those two activities as running MVP and in the same time bringing the hardest case and proving that technology would work in worst ever battle conditions. Yeah. So one thing is to prove that technology works, even if there is no saving. This is also in some cases acceptable, that you show that the use case based on some process or something which doesn't necessarily bring the high saving or even non-saving, but goes through multiple applications which may look challenging. So we need to understand the goal of those activities, and goal of MVP definitely not to bring the highest value for a business, but prove and remove doubts from management.
Thanks, Eduardo. So Ivana, I'm very interested to hear about this machine learning project. So how do you define the definition of done or acceptance criteria? In my understanding is, okay, if the robot or this machine learning can recognize an image in 99.9%, then it's okay, it's fine, it's done. Or maybe it's not that simple. How do you define the scope?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I actually must say that I hate the projects where we have like a predefined metric. If somebody came to me and said, look, I have a fridge and I want to recognize foods in that with 99.9% accuracy, I would just laugh, because without seeing the data, I cannot say it will be possible or what metrics, etc., etc. But what I can say about this process also from the MVP perspective is that building the simplest use case. So for example, we had this project where we were automating the parcel detection and QR code scanning in parcel collection hub, and it was a huge factory. So when we designed the MVP process, our goal was actually to build only one station with one camera and one place for those parcels, and to then later to test it out in real life. So this station could not be built in our office, but it had to be built in the client's actual working conditions. And at the MVP stage, we also decided that it is not necessary to think about the scalability, even about the inference time. We wanted just to verify the maximum possible efficiency or accuracy of the model that can be achieved when we set all those other limitations aside. So the goal of this stage was actually to see how in real life, by presenting the scenario of real people taking those parcels, and then our cameras were doing the parcel detection and segmentation, and using the OCR to scan the barcodes and other information that was provided there. And we measured that on a particular day when we just came to the factory, and we had this additional scenario that was completely different from the test set that we used for training. So for choosing the model, we had some test data, but then at the end of this MVP, when we decided whether or not to move forward, we just made tests in real life. And then after it was successful and we saw that it definitely works quite well, we of course identified many problems, as at the MVP stage you will not get 99% accuracy, but we knew how to solve them. So we could design a strategy. Okay, so now after having built this one station, we can scale to 5 stations or to 10 or to 100 in such a manner. And then also the problems that we noticed, how can we tackle them? What other solutions do we need to build? What other optimizations on the hardware do we have to make in order for this MVP to be able to be used in the production as well? So yeah, going really small in the MVP and then testing, and something that is as real as it gets. I would say, yeah, that would be the solution. Even testing with real users, if you have access to that. Sometimes when companies don't want to go straightforward with the users, they had this like tester group, which means that might be employees, and they might get sooner access to the new implementations of the models, and they would test that, but it will be already real people testing and not just hard metric that might get relevant.
Thank you, Ivona. So we are going towards the final 7 minutes of this discussion. So I would like already to move to the kind of wrapping conclusions. And just as I see this dilemma, it somehow reminded me of this chicken and egg, or egg and chicken situation, where actually it's maybe the most important is not to decide which comes first, like optimization or automation. I think it's more important that you do it properly, and you do it in iterations, and you do it with some business reason or business value in mind. And actually this iterative approach of building MVPs with smaller scope and then increasing the scope or scaling it up, it also gives a possibility to get the quick benefits, business value, but also those iterations give a positive feedback loop because every automatization, it provides data, and data it can be used for process mining, for process optimization, and so on. So these were the final thoughts from me, and I would like just to give a round for our speakers for the final comments. And this time, let's start with Darko, please. Then, how does it tell us the answer?
On which question?
the meaning of life, please.
42.
Oh, yeah, great.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the MVP. I like to be pragmatic, and I always like the Pareto rule, you know. So try to, every business user wants to automate 100% and to have 100% of accuracy, but the question is, do you really need it? And I think I would identify the scenario. So what is the acceptable level of automation, and then what's the biggest bang for the buck? You know, where do you get this high returns, and then see going forward, does it make sense to go for the 90%, 95%, because you might end up, spending more for a very small improvement in the process. So definitely agree on thoughts of others as well.
Thank you. Edward, do you want to say some final comments to tell us the answer to your poll? What's in your...
Yeah, when listening to discussions and several times in my mind there was one phrase passing by, and yeah, and I would like maybe to end or summarize it from my end, that, and what also complements to what Darko said, but in a little bit different manner. Just take it easy. Just don't necessarily aim for this 100%, etc. But aim to improve the business, yeah, nor by automation or both, but take it easy. And for us, again, both approaches can work, and equally as both approaches can fail. So it depends, and take it easy and try both. And you will also, by trying both, instead of having this paralysis by analysis, I think that you will come much further than thinking and analyzing your company forever. It is continuous. So continuous improvement means that you will never probably reach the perfect process. And there is an interesting image I seen on the internet. I tried to find it, but didn't succeed, with the frequency of changes happening in the world. And now we are in very frequent environment, and it will be even more frequent. The new technologies are appearing every day. So if you tomorrow go for great new, if we still can call it new, SAP for HANA or whatever else, it will become outdated very soon, and there will be new and new things. So you are never up to date, and you are never perfect with your processes. So take it easy.
Thank you. That was a very good phrase. Take it easy. Ivona, what's your final phrase or comment?
I think you're on mute, Ivona. It looks like. Not yet audible. Try now. Okay.
Okay.
No?
Yes.
Okay. I just had to toggle the microphone. I just want to say that I totally agree with what Edward just said, 100%. And just adding to that, I would say own your mistakes as well, because as the technology is changing so much and we are trying new things, the most important thing is also not to be afraid to admit that you're wrong. And by changing the strategy in the middle of the project, it still costs less than going with the wrong one. So just not being afraid to admit mistakes and own it.
Thank you, Ivona. You were the first to open, and now you're the last one to close. And thank you to all the speakers. I think we had a really interesting discussion, at least for me. It was interesting, I hope, also for the participants. I hope that there are still attendees online and watching this final session. So thanks again. And just my final phrase, what I was thinking is that RPA is about the robots, but RPA is for the humans, and human beings are lazy, and we always go for the low-hanging fruit. So just go for the low-hanging fruit and just decide for yourself whether you want to automate, optimize, and what works best for you. And we are, as humans, we are learning beings. So learning by doing, and do and learn and do. And this is the answer to this question. And so thanks again to all the attendees, all the speakers, also the organizers of this event. And just to share once again, the video recordings will be available to everyone within 1 week. And you will get more information from the organizers. And from my side, I was really honored to participate in this event. And I really hope to see you live or to see you virtually. So let's keep the good spirit, and let's let's automate the world in a good way, of course. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.